guys, welcome back to the third video. Third video. Yesterday basically turned into a shit fight for me. I don't even know if I'm going to put that up, so this may be the second video. Plan was yesterday to make the false floor out of 9mm ply and to get the cupboard done on the side. Ready to start housing the C-Tech and all that sort of stuff. I cut the floor out, I got that ready to go, then I wasn't happy with it, so I've completely scrapped the idea and I'm just making a 9mm cover to go over the third row seat belt. I started making the cupboard to go on the side to house the C-Tech and everything, and I just kept having a brain fart, so gave up. So today I've got to finish that, run the wires for the solar panel, try and connect the C-Tech up and get everything working there. So as long as I can get this back section done, the cupboard section done today, and get the solar panel and C-Tech connected, I'm going to be happy. So see how we go. Alright, so in the little bit that I did do yesterday that didn't stuff up, I managed to get the main front done, cut out ready for the cupboard. So this is what everything is going to be based off. I will be cutting it off at a certain height. I haven't worked exactly that out yet. And it will become two parts so that it can fold forward. And there will be a cupboard up in the top section here with a little lip on the top so I can put things without them sliding off, same as I've done with the old one. I've just cut the piece. This will go at the rear of the vehicle. So this will go behind here and sit up against the trim. I've left a little cut out at the top here, as you can see. As I've got curtains that are going to be on track top and bottom, or string top and bottom, I just want that little bit of extra room so that the curtains aren't getting caught up. I've now done a line down here at the thickness of this timber, or this ply, so I can work out where the screw holes need to go. Once I've worked that out, I can work out roughly where it is I want to cut it. I know this sits at the height over the lip, where the Gen 3s have got cup holders and a little rear glove box. So this sits just over there. So I'm thinking if I come up another probably 50mm on top of that, I can cut right across this piece and that piece, and that will make the hinge to set the top half hinge section. I do also need to work out exactly where the height of the cut shelf's going to sit, so I've got to make sure it's above that as well. But at least if I can get this in here, I can work this out, I can get the first couple of screws in, and just try and get a rough idea. It doesn't matter if I pull it apart again later, as long as it's together at the moment and I can work it out. And now we see pretty much how that's going to sit there. As I said, there's a gap here so the string for the curtain can run through, and the curtain can tuck nice and neat and solid down the back there. There's enough room there for the third row seat well to clip in if I need to, and it tucks in reasonably tight around here. It's not perfect, but I really can be bothered trying to cut all this out and get the backing exactly right to follow the trim. So this decided I'm going straight across the back here, and I'll just leave it at that. It's easy enough. Now I've got to work out where the height for the shelf that I'm building, work out what the height for that is again. It's been a while since I've done it. I can always just measure the old ones. So work out what that height is, and then I can work out where on here has to be cut for it to fold forward. Okay, so a quick measurement off the original shelf has given me 31.5 centimetres, so 315mm. So I mark that 31.5 there. Back to the same thing. So that now gives me the height in which I need to cut. I'm going to do the same on the sides. Actually, I can just use a set square to get that. But it's about right. About 50mm up off the top here. That's where the top of that will sit. So if I cut, I'll probably cut just on the top side of this screw here. Then that will give me a little bit of clearance. But at least I know it's going to sit there. Cut it off here, it can fold, and then I've got the C-Tech will sit basically from that height on. So the C-Tech will sit nicely just in here, And then if I really want, I can make this entire section covered instead of the slimline, just a little one that I had on the other side. I can actually get a lot more. I'm also thinking about installing a 8-inch Acer Windows tablet that I've got. So having that extra room might actually mean that I can slide that in, as I was thinking. Thought with that is I can just have that hidden, Bluetooth mouse and keyboard, and then when I run the TV in here I can just use that for all my movies and everything. I can just plug the HDMI in and I've got everything. So I'll think about that as I'm going along, and I'll just work out exactly how much room I've got. Most important part at the moment is though working from the bottom, getting that worked out, where the C-Tech and everything's got to go. Okay, so I've just gone through and I've marked the height at which the shelf's going to sit and the height at which I want to cut. I've just tested the C-Tech from this bottom point here, given it a little bit. The C-Tech sits really nicely in there. It's a bit of clearance on the top, so it's not going to get whacked. Clearance on the bottom, obviously I've got to put a plate, a shelf on the bottom of that. So being that we're getting cut off here, now I can start to work out what lengths and everything I need for not just the base here, but for the top of the next section, at the bottom of the next section as well. So being that this will be coming from this section here, that will be the bottom of the first section, so to speak. That will come across, and then I've got to sort of line things up so that it looks neat and tidy over this end. Having this diagonal cut's going to make things a little trickier. So I'll get that part worked out now, and then I'll get to some more cutting, I guess. Okay, so a couple of little things I've just done here to try and work things out. This section will be where the C-Tech sits, inside a void behind here. I've worked out where I want that to end. So to try and work out my length, and width for the pieces that I need to cut, what I've actually done here, you'll see that there's a distance there and a little gap there. These are the 9mm gap. That's the thickness of the pie that I'm using. Same thing here, and same thing down the bottom here, if you can see that. Now if I measure from here to here, that should give me the length of the backing that I need, at the back piece. Measure from here to the edge of the ply here, that will give me the width of it. And then for this part here, that width and that height should give me all the correct measurements, I'm hoping. So now I'll just measure them up and see how we go, transferring them onto another piece to start cutting. Okay, so I've cut 2 of the 3 shelves. First one will be the bottom one, where the C-Tech and everything is going to sit. Second one I've cut will be just above this cut line, where everything splits. Quite simply, I had an off-cut of wood that was going to be wasted otherwise, so I thought I'll quickly knock this one out, and it was just big enough. So I've got that one cut, I've got this one cut. I'm about to screw this one in, and then I'll work out this end piece at the moment. I haven't done that just yet, but that's fine, that's not a big deal. If I get this one in, I can work that one out in a minute. I can use a little off-cut or something somewhere for that, I'm sure. So do that end piece, get this shelf in. Once that one's in, then I can make sure that's all going to fit in as it's supposed to, and then this one will be ready to go, and I can line that one up at the end. Then I can get the final measurement for the back. Make sure it's all going to be square and fit right. So yeah, alrighty. So I've got the 2 shelves in. Obviously haven't done the top one yet, but got the 2 shelves in. Now I can work out what size backing plate I need to cover all of this. Obviously there's going to be a piece that's got to go in here as a back, as a side panel, and then a piece, hang on, no, there'll be no side panel on that because that's trim. So there'll be a side panel coming down here. This little piece will almost just be wasted. Side panel down there. Another one coming up here. Is a little bit different than I've designed, but that's fine, doesn't really matter. I actually designed it so the side panel would come up here and then another one here, but that doesn't really matter. It's a little bit less that I'll have to play with, but that's fine. Okay, so I've got the two shelves in. Obviously, again, I haven't cut things, I haven't done the edges, and I haven't done the backing on it yet. That's not my major issue right at this second. I have realised I was originally planning to bring this across further and have the edging to this actually come from here up, but because I've measured it a little bit different, cut it a bit wrong, the end of this one will actually be here instead of here, and this one instead of being here will be obviously here. So now I'll measure out the two pieces that I need to go on here. So there'll be the one come here, another one will come from the top of that straight up. So that should give me everything I need, and then I'll cut it across here. I'll probably bring, if I feel fancy enough, I'll bring this up to about here. There will be a little bit of a lip, obviously, because of this section. I've also got the lip there that I have to contend with, so there will be a little bit of difference in it. But that'll be at the top, at the back. Won't really be an issue. I've set it in the car, and I'm really happy with the way it's sitting. This section here, I'm actually going to cover here, up to here. That sits over where the third row seats clip in, and that will allow me to have lighter sockets and USB and such plugged up into here, and all the wires hanging below. Fuse box will come up to here to fuse them all, and then the C-Tech sitting up this end a bit. So that's actually worked out quite good for me there. This sits pretty much flush against the rest of it, but again, it does drop off. Standard, they've got a little glove box and drink holders over this side, so it sort of drops off a little bit around them, down to where that third row seat clamp sits. So it gives me a bit of a void under here, which is really good. Okay, so I'll get these sections done, I'll get the backing worked out for it, and then we'll go from there again. Again, I'm not going to cut it in half until everything's in place and I've worked all that out. Time for a tea break. Alright, so while I'm waiting for the jug to boil, I'll give you a quick run through. So I've now got the top shelf on, the middle shelf. So it'll be this section here that folds forward. As you can see, there is still a lip around there. This will all be cleaned up a little bit, and I will be carpeting the whole thing anyway. I've got the backing cut out, but obviously that needs to be modified to go around the edges here and things like that. But the backing's cut out, ready to go on. Next part, after I've had my cuppa, I'm going to make the pocket section that goes here, which, as I said before, will have all the wiring for the USBs and 12-volt lighter sockets and stuff in there. Actually, I'll probably just run USB in there, not the lighter. I might just run some lighter straight in the edge here or something. So yeah, I'll run that, and that'll just house all the wiring. The fuse box will go about here. That needs to be removed from the old setup. So do all the lighter sockets and half the USBs. Then the C-Tech will go up this end. So after my break, I'll make that section up. Then I'll cut this, start to carpet the bottom half at least, and then I can get that into the car, put the C-Tech in, connect the solar panel and all that stuff. Finally get that ready to go. And then I can take a little bit more time on this and the shelf and the drawers, because the main thing is I've got to get the second battery wired up and start getting all my panels back in, so then I can at least drive the car. This top section isn't as important, and neither is the shelf. Once these are in, I can work the rest of the stuff out. Once this is in, I can work the rest of the stuff out. So tea break for now, and then I'll get back to it. That's alive. Alrighty, so smoke goes over, and the two back pieces are done. I've cut out for the box here. Again, this is only going to be hiding some wiring for the USBs and such. And as I said, I'll probably do a couple of lighter sockets just on the side here or something. So that's only to hide on the wiring, so I'm only going to throw the 2 screws in there. Not too fast how it looks behind it, because you're not going to see it. I've put 2 screws in for the main backing for now, simply to hold them, stands up straight. 2 screws in for the main backing now, simply to hold it in place, because now I need to come through and I actually need to make a couple of cuts. I've got to trim this off around the edge on the sides here, which I'll swing it around and show you that in a sec. And I'm just going to come across here on a bit of an angle. It will still screw into here, screw into the shelf, but I've got this spot here. I might even just get the angle grinder out and smooth it out later. But that's for the curtains to run there. So now that the backing's on, I can work out these cuts, mark these lines out, and that will be exactly where it's all got to sit. Again, I'll trim this out to tidy that part up. So I'll do those couple of cuts now, mark those couple of ones now, knock them out with a jigsaw, and then I'll cut it in half. Alrighty, so I've pulled it all apart, and I've done the 2 cuts, right round. Tops aren't matching up 110%. The circular saw is fucking rough as guts on ply, but I'll sand these down anyway. Might have to put another screw or 2 in there yet. But that's the bottom section, basically put together, complete. Obviously it's not carpeted or anything like that yet. It's still a way away. I've got to get everything worked out, holes cut for the wires and all that sort of thing. So will it be done today? Yeah, probably not, but yeah, so that part's all done, the backing's all on, that box will be ideal, and now we'll see how it fits. And that bottom section will fit just like so. Plenty of room there. The shelf height was said to be there, so that should be more than enough. C-Tech's there, so that'll be in. Some lighters, lighter sockets, all that stuff, the USB and that in there. What I'll probably do is actually throw 1 USB, 1 lighter in here, something along those lines. I do have this little fuse meter. I do have this little battery monitor, so that'll actually probably go there. But yeah, so top piece is cut, ready to go in. I'll reassemble quickly the top section, and then I'm going to come back to this and I'll work out where the holes for the wiring and all that sort of stuff are going to go. Now that that's there, I can also run the wiring for my solar. I've decided what I'm going to do is up on the roof rack, I'm going to put a couple of Anderson plugs. Rather than running the wire straight from the panel into the window, I'm going to put a couple of Anderson plugs up on the roof. And then that way I can just plug the solar panel into that, and I can plug in a secondary one into it if I need to later. If I just need that extra bit of power, then I can just run the 1 wire down into the C-Tech, connect the alternator up, connect the C-Tech to the battery, and that part's done. Alrighty, so there's the top section on. As you can see, the C-Tech and all that's going to be hidden, nice and tight underneath. There will obviously be a door on the front here, so I can get into there. It's going to be a bit hard otherwise, eh? Once it's hinged, this will then drop forward, allowing full access to the C-Tech and fuses and everything else in there. Yes, it's very wobbly. It will be attached to the trim, so it's not going to be wobbling around like that. And once the shelving unit's into it, we'll hold it nice and tight as well. So, but it will actually be attached to the trim when it's all done. So now that section's done, take that off again. That can go there, because that's not complete, but good enough at the moment. And then I'll get this and start working some holes out. Okay, now for the fun part. I've run the electrical. Now this will do my solar panel. Run this through here, it will go up into the gutter rail and then up to one of 2 Anderson plugs. What I'm about to start working on is soldering or joining 2 plugs together so that we've got a single wire coming into the vehicle. Comes down the bottom and twists, so any water that runs down will drip on the outside of the vehicle, not the inside. Comes down behind a couple of clips out the bottom, and then I've marked it up ready to go through the holes. Pretty much now it just needs an O-ring be pushed through the holes and needs an O-ring on each end to connect to the C-Tech. Obviously can't do that until I've lined everything and done everything properly, but getting the lines worked out, wiring's coming in. I do currently have one of my battery monitors connected. I've also got the console connected, so these are all running off the second battery. And now I'm also running the Matson Bluetooth monitor. So even though I'm running the UHF, I'm really not drawing any power at the moment, so that's always a good thing. So yeah, just waiting for the soldering iron to heat up. Put a first bit of solder into these 2. Even though I've crimped them, I'd rather drop some solder in there too, just to make sure they stay tight and watertight as well. So I'll fill that up with solder. Then I'll cut them to length to bounce across to the next one, and then same deal obviously with that, and connect it straight into this. So they'll mount right here up under the roof rack. Then that way when it comes time to plug my solar panel in, it's just a matter of literally plugging it in. The reason I'm doing 2 is so if I need a second panel at any time for a bit of extra power, I can just connect that straight in as well. It'll be ready to go. Okay, so they're soldered together. 2 of them done. Again, they're going to mount there, roughly. The cable will be tucked away and hidden a bit better than it is. I've insulated, done all that, bit of heat shrink and tape and bloody solder and everything else, and so that's right. But then I've just noticed I've gone to try and mount it and sort of thought to myself, I'm going to have to take this roof rack off, and I really couldn't be stuffed, so that'll be waiting for a bit. I might come through and work out any more on the back here, but otherwise yeah, I'm pretty happy now and I'm ready to be happy to take it for a drive. So alrighty, I'm done for today. I've got the leads from my solar panel run up to the roof rack, through the window up to the roof rack. The Anderson plugs are on the end of that. The boxes are completely built, but they're not covered, and I haven't cut the door out of the top one yet. I've worked out where the C-Tech is going and where all the cables are going to be routed through the bottom into the C-Tech. I've got the battery monitors all connected up to the battery at the moment, and the UHF, as you can hear. So overall I'm pretty happy. I would have liked to have been a little bit further on than I am, but so be it. I'm in no major rush. Tomorrow, fingers crossed the weather holds off. I don't think it's meant to be too bad tomorrow. So fingers crossed the weather's alright again tomorrow, and I'll get at least the bottom piece of the cabinet carpeted and get everything installed into that. If I can get that done, as I said earlier, that will allow me to at least be able to put all my trim back in place and things like that. And then I can start working on the rest of the top part of the cupboard and the rest of the shelf and everything that's got to go in there. Yeah, the trim's back in around the doors and everything now, so that I'm happy with that too. So, I know it doesn't sound like I've done a lot, but it feels like I have, especially with a bloody bad back. but I'm pretty happy with things at the moment. So we're getting there. The battery's working. It's only a matter of pretty much just connecting things up. I could connect the DC to DC now and have that ready to charge off the alternator. And I only need to plug a solar panel. You know, I could even cut the ends off my little 25 water and put an Anderson on there and plug that in, connect that up now and plug it in. But I'm going to wait till I get that cupboard done, run everything through, run the wires through properly, crimp all the terminals, crimp and solder the terminals, heat shrink, whatever else has got to be done. I'll do all that so it's done properly. So yeah, almost at the point where the batteries and the solar panel are ready to go. The solar panel will probably be the last thing to go on the car, simply on the grounds that I need to make brackets and things like that. And what I'm planning to make the bracket out of, I've actually been using to get a nice square straight edge. Oh fuck it again. Alright. Alright. Hope you've enjoyed it so far. Remember, if you do enjoy it, you want to see more, click like, click subscribe, whatever. Yeah. And I may see you in the next one. Cheers. Oh.